What time of the year is this?
Well, there's someone we know that says he doesn't like to pull the ho 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 thing too early. But
Okay, what I'm going to say is,
Christmas.
what time of the year is it? It's always time for your best you.
Ah,
See, that's
yes.
what time of the year it is. She's only been with me for how long? Still, you know. Okay, so yeah.
Long day.
Yeah, no kidding. But you know, here we are. Anyway, nevertheless, long day or not.
Yep.
And how have you been? I mean, we're coming up to, let's just say, we're coming up to, 2 months pretty much, and then we're in 2023. So wild, right?
Yeah, it
It's
is.
wild. This year and the year before and the year before. So this is our, I think, I was thinking, can you imagine what the Macy's Day Christmas Parade's going to be like this year? I mean, just think of it, you know. It's been so long for everyone.
That's true.
I'm sure it's been long for you too, and we're all, you know, learning how to what do I say? Keep redefining our pivot. Did you pivot? Yeah, pivot again. How many times can you pivot?
Yeah. Redefining it.
That's what I just said.
Yep.
Realigning it.
Yep.
You know, breathing into a new vibration, connecting, and then, you know, going forward with an aligned, connected direction, and that takes quite a bit of consciousness to do. And so, therefore, we're in Chakra 7, and that's the color of violet. And I hear a husky howling at the door, so I'm going to let her in. Come in, Crystal. It's nice.
Hey, sweetie.
All right. Yeah. Ruby's in the other room. We had a busy day today, and I was out this weekend over the full moon and Aries eclipse, lunar eclipse. It's called like a blood moon because of the way that the sun reflects its light and hits the moon when the moon is setting in the morning and the sun is rising.
Well, he said the moon was very, very pretty on moon rise.
Yeah, I took a picture of it. It came out quite almost really strange. So you know the amaryllis. You remember the amaryllis? Remember that? The amaryllis. It was like so beautiful, and the leaves and the flowers that went with it. And you see the state it's in right now. It's in a resting, dormant state. And I always think of winter time as a great time for as a great time to kind of get that restorative energy if you can. And so, you know, here we are in the restoration time of the year, where the bears go in their caves.
Hopefully
And,
soon.
And the birds need the bird food. But yeah, lavender and Christmas, and I don't know, Joan, do you remember the story that I gave you about the oak and the holly?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the story that I gave you about the jack-o'-lantern?
Oh yeah. Jack.
So you should go check those stories out. I did a couple of earlier shows. Just basically, since we're in the level of consciousness, you know, what is it that we're aware of? Because the states and levels of consciousness, gosh, I think I talked about that about 50 shows ago. You know?
I think you did.
Yeah, but we're all in different levels and states of it. And if you remember the other day, I was telling you in the car, 4 out of every human being born don't have a conscience.
Yeah, that's scary.
So, I mean, you know, we're living in a world where we are truly evolving from the state that we were once. And we have archaeological evidence strong enough to support, think of Darwin, how he was, demonized,
Oh, yeah.
Darwin, think of many of the geniuses of the time, how they were demonized or put through torturous experiences because of their radical thinking. But where would we be without our great radical thinkers, truly? I mean, think of it. So, we were talking about the Santa Claus, and we were talking about the Rudolph. And since I'm always sharing stories, I thought, what a nice way to talk about some stories. So I said, Rudolph. Now this is Dasher. You know Dasher and Dancer and Donner and Blitzen, right? Comet and Cupid. Well, anyway, I don't know the song perfectly, and I don't want to violate copyright, but this is Dasher. Okay. But, think of Rudolph. And so I was thinking, where do we get our stories? We're always making up stories. We love to make up stories.
Yeah.
And we carry stories from previous times.
Sure.
And we reinvent them and make them into something new. But I said, what was the origin? I always want to know the origin. What's the origin of the story? So the story of Rudolph. Did you know, in 1939, that's when Rudolph was kind of born, inspired by the story of the Ugly Duckling. A Jewish Chicago copywriter, Robert May, he worked in the advertising department of Montgomery Ward. Now you can remember Montgomery Ward.
Yes.
That's an oldie.
Yes, it is. Yes.
That brings back a lot of memories when you start thinking back there.
Yep.
Norman Rockwell. Pretty much, sitting in the ice cream parlor shop, having your little milkshake with the straw.
Yep.
And the cherry on top. And
Absolutely.
I didn't get to do that. But I do know that in Montgomery Ward, I went to, we had it in our town. It was it Woolworths?
Yes.
Was it Woolworths?
Yep.
They had a little
soda bar, like a little soda bar.
Soda bar.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a little soda.
There was actually one in Plainville. This was when I was in junior high.
Oh.
The place that is now the wine shop that we frequent used to be.
Oh, really? That was an ice cream parlor shop?
No, it was a pharmacy.
Oh, a pharmacy.
And they had
a soda parlor.
They had a little area there where you could get something to eat or drink.
Yeah, the old time
started out as a little soda bar.
Those old time pharmacies.
Yeah.
So back to Robert
May,
who worked for Montgomery Ward in the advertising department, and they would do this annual free coloring book. Okay, and it was a giveaway. How do you get people to come by?
You give them something for free.
Giveaway. Come to the store and we'll give you a free T-shirt and you'll buy 400.
Exactly.
So smart advertising, right? Well, anyway, for the annual coloring book, he created the story idea, and unfortunately, so many stories have sadness to it. His wife was diagnosed with cancer that year, and she died.
Oh wow!
And he and his daughter were left, and at that time, he said he wrote the book. And he invented the little reindeer with the shiny nose for him and his daughter to have happy times after his wife and the mother of his daughter passed away. He never got any money for it.
Really? That is something else.
So that's the story of Rudolph.
Wow.
He came through a kind of inspiration from the Ugly Duckling story.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Rudolph with his nose so bright, and the Ugly Duckling is a swan, not a duck.
Exactly. But the same kind of storyline where the Ugly Duckling was rejected and nobody wanted to be friends with it, just like Rudolph. Nobody wanted to let him join in reindeer games.
Exactly, and so that was like children's books that they gave away every year, and you have to come up with ideas, content,
Yep.
Where's the content, Kat? Not any new content? Well, everything's recycled.
Right.
And it's just added with a new flavor to it, But that's what we do. And so I thought that was interesting about Rudolph.
Yeah, definitely.
And I didn't know if you knew that. So it's interesting to hear how we invent stories, and even in the midst of that invention of something that was clever, and he was just doing it for his job, his wife passed away, from cancer, and he continued to do it as inspiration and hope, So I think that's a beautiful story when
It is.
when you
It
get a little
really is.
backstory on Rudolph. And yes, Crystal, you're beautiful too. We love you. I know. It's been a difficult day, huh, Chrissy Wissy? So then I was going to Santa Claus, because if you recall, we were talking about Santa Claus, and you were talking about the Norse, and I said something in reference to I thought I'd do a couple of holiday shows because 'tis the season. We're almost in November, and why not?
Sure.
There's a lot of history to all of our different holidays.
Yes, there
It
is.
does help for us to understand one another
Yeah.
through understanding how we celebrate and the rituals that we have for one another. So I'm using a new camera and a new mic, and I have no idea how it's going to sound on the new camera and mic. I hope it comes out good for everyone. And I have the old backup just in case.
Yes, just in case.
So, But yeah, here's the Santa Claus. And if you remember, I was speaking about how the Santa Claus had the
Holly wreath.
holly wreath.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of a cute Santa that gives you that sense of the holly wreath. And
I'm gonna get up for a moment and I'm gonna get her a little bit of water.
okay. And so I brought that in so that we could kind of take a look at that. And then, of course, we have the story of Santa Claus. And what do you think this is? I'll bring it in close so you can see. I bet you are guessing right home. You could go, oh, I know what that must be, right? I bet I know what that is. That could be the naughty and nice list,
That's
right?
right.
So, you think about how the story of Jack was the ne'er-do-well who behaved naughty
Yes.
and was banned from both places of heaven and hell.
Right, exactly.
And with Santa, I was thinking, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Santa Claus is coming in. He knows when you've been sleeping. He knows when you're awake.
He knows when you're in bed or good. So be good.
Good, for goodness sake. See? So it's interesting how we have blended in our stories as moral barometers.
Yeah. Trying to get the
I
kids
tried
to
to
be good.
think when I was a child, I believed in Santa. I don't know
course.
if you did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
still believe in the spirit of Christmas and the beauty of that. But I actually believed in Santa Claus.
So did I.
I don't remember. I was such an innocent, and I carry some of that with me still, I think. That, it's that magically delicious, lucky charm stuff, from
Sure.
the Irish Celtic. But nevertheless, it's soldiered me through life with a little dance in my step as opposed to a drudgery on my back,
Yes, exactly.
So the Irish, how they handle their difficulties and in life, every culture handles them differently,
This is true.
So the Irish would, of course, they report sadness about the alcohol because that's, every culture has its, its demise. But anyway, Sinter Claus. Sinter Claus, Saint Nicholas, the legendary patron saint of the children. And the legend of Santa Claus can be traced back to 280 AD.
Wow.
A monk named Saint Nicholas merged with the English character of Father Christmas
Okay.
to create the mythical character of Sinterklaas in Dutch. They call it Sinterklaas. We call it Santa Claus.
It came from that.
But again, you can see the kind of
The progression. Yeah.
from the Holly King and the Oak King, and before that, the Yule,
Right.
which was the original. The Yule being the original,
Yeah.
Yule, Yule.
At least she had her water, so she's happy.
Yule. Huskies competing with lectures.
She says I have a
Did
lot to
you
say.
know that during the Victorian time period, there was something called the Krampus, and the Krampus was basically the evil Santa.
Really?
Yeah, because Santa has a dark and a light.
sure, of
Okay,
course.
so the Krampus is the travels with Santa, and he punishes the wicked, while Santa gives them gifts. The Krampus would beat the children and carry them away in sacks to eat them.
Jeez.
The Krampus. You can see the Krampus on Victorian Christmas cards.
Really?
Okay, it's a horned beast.
Okay.
The night before Christmas is Krampus night. Krampus, if you want to look it up. Okay, and there's a running event. And revelers dress like the devil, they drink, and they run through the streets. Now, doesn't that sound like Jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah,
So
it
it's the,
does. Yeah.
are you the nice Santa or the bad
Or the bad
Santa? And we did a movie on it, and it's called Bad Santa, which
Okay.
is basically the Krampus
Okay.
story rewritten. And who was the actor in it? Angelina Jolie's ex-husband. Which one? I don't know. How many have she had? Some of these, they have a lot. What was his name? I can't remember his name. I'm sure you know.
The only one I
Bad
can
Santa. You know.
the only one I can think of is Brian Pitt.
No.
I don't think it was him because he's
No.
he's
He's
nice.
doing something else.
He's doing
No,
something
Brad
else.
Pitt is no
Oh,
nicer
Brad
than
Pitt.
nobody.
Brad Pitt.
So it was the whole idea of the Krampus was actually it was a rebellion against the Christmas church, the Christian church. So it was like, the Christian church
Right.
behave.
Yep.
And
And the Krampus saying,
this is the night of revelry and drunkenness in the street, okay, and the Catholic Church, the Catholic Church and the oppression, how we make morally control.
of course.
They try to find clever ways to get you to.
Yeah.
You better watch out.
Better watch out.
He knows when you are sleeping. Doesn't that sound creepy? He knows when you're awake. Oh God.
Oh my Lord.
Who is this human? He knows when you've been bad or good. Who? It sounds like, what's the Alexis?
Yeah, I know it.
All right, so,
Shades in 1984.
all right, let's see. Okay, I told you that story. Yeah. So, okay, so I gave you a couple of stories, but I had another one I wanted to talk about. And I don't have it right available, but I'll do it in the next show. And it's this one. You know who this is, right? I have to walk over Huskies. Plus I have a new camera too, so. Okay, and this camera can't see me at all over here, but this one can. It's the little, you know who. The Nutcracker. Woo! So yeah, the Nutcracker, I'll talk about that in another story of another show. But yeah, the whole holiday season, it's hard to imagine that it's October and we're doing a Christmas show.
Yeah.
But I noticed in a lot of the programming that everyone's doing Christmas
Yeah, they are.
things. And I actually said to Joan today that on the news they said, there's going to be a pumpkin and candy shortage. So go out to the stores now and get your pumpkin and candy. I'm like, how is that going to slow down or stop the shortage?
It's not going to stop
I'm
it.
not exactly sure I understand that logic,
Yeah.
but okay, everybody rush to the store. Woo!
Now.
And after that we'll have more.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Kind of, yeah.
That's about being conscious
Yeah.
and connecting. I think consciousness, I oftentimes think of self-mastery. And self-mastery is the whole package of this capacity to have self-love, to have the self-care, to have the self-awareness of, I was reading somewhere, it said, what's the definition of stupid, And one of the areas of saying stupid is, thinking that you're always right and the other person's not right. Never being able to own the stuff that you're not doing right. Those are, and then not being able to articulate emotional intelligence. So, we think of stupid as different, definitions, but, the fact that we're at a time in history where we still have things like monarchies and people blowing one another up when we're in a woke awareness, where there's a huge segment of the population that's kind of so aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, but they're so still enticed, the stories of Jack or the Krampus,
Yeah.
by the revelry and the aspect of the holidays and the parties, or whatever they're hooking a person. You're a hero. You're a hero today, you're a zero tomorrow, say.
Yeah.
Okay? So, whatever hook and bait can use, and then when it's done, toss. That awareness of being able to get to that point, as a society, as a collected group, is the same type of power of energy that ignites things. So, for example, I've told the story before about Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks wasn't the first person who did it. Many did this before her. But what ends up happening is the collective is behind it. And when you've got the power of that, it's like a booster, see? And then things can change. But if everyone is like, well, somebody else is going to change that, or the leaders are going to change, they're not going to do that. The only people that can revolutionize change are the power of the people. And the more that people are censored and controlled and diminished and devalued, the less power, solar plexus chakra 3 power, that's going to be available to self-boost.
Yeah.
Never mind become conscious enough to be up here, and so it's kind of, as I've said before, keeping general population down in chakras 1, 2, and 3. You don't get up here, you don't have any problems. You just submit and perform. Okay. But then the question of the higher consciousness, which is, what's the meaning of life? Not just why am I here, but what is the greater meaning of everything? What is the meaning of all this? Because that's really ultimately the question. Is there greater meaning to your life than just your time here?
Yeah.
Do you have to have your face carved in Mount Rushmore, or do you have to have a pyramid to be remembered? What's the Akashic records? What's the tree of life? Okay, what do we know about some of these more esoteric aspects of our existence here? They've been nullified and nullified and wrapped up and branded in religion, which does not necessarily want you to be open-minded.
Yeah.
If you look at the religious institutions, the goal is not to have you expand in your consciousness. So, we're at that point where many are aware, there are many that aren't. I mean, as I've said before, when we're an evolving group of different humanoids, from, I was watching that about the crystal skulls again, which fascinates me. That's consciousness. And of course, I know the Carolyn Ford and Einstein and Sedona, and that's the skull of consciousness. So, all this stuff we could talk about in another time in history as myth, but now we know there's too much that shows us about Atlantis.
Yeah.
There's too much that shows us about supposed mythical civilizations that they wrote stories about, but then you find out maybe there were these people that were giants, and maybe there were these people that were, and we find out actually we're finding the archaeological evidence.
Yeah, they are.
And we have the tools. It's like Giorgio Stuglo said, we don't have the key to unlock the codes within the crystals. We're not evolved enough to have that grace given to us to access that, is what I would say. When we get there, there will be an opening. Spirit will make a portal available, and the key will be made available. Why give a key to someone who doesn't know how to use what is open?
Yeah.
It turns into being used for something. Look what we're doing with what we've got. Heavens to Betsy, what will we do with something like that?
I know.
It'd be a terror. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
We've written movies about it, right? Not me, I haven't, but I mean.
No, look, there are movies
Well,
about
I am writing another book, you know that, I got another book coming, so. But so that's where we are, and consciousness around the holidays, and even during the holiday time. this consciousness that not everyone's practicing the same holiday.
Right.
And ironically, we're all practicing the same holiday, just various derivations of it.
Right, different variations.
Well, and to a certain extent.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like the skulls. They all 12 were in specific locations.
Yeah.
These specific spiritual locations. All right, the 13th is the key that unlocks the grid.
Right,
You got the 12th, you got the center skull.
Right.
But just think about any of the esoteric great thinkers of the time. All I need to say is Galileo. So we're searching. We want to know where we came from, what's out there beyond us, where we're going, what's out there, the ultimate proof. Copernicus and his encounter with the Islamic astrologers, the Ptolemy, and Copernicus, all that, and the whole theory of the cosmos. Just think of these minds that were thinking and speaking during a time. The church was torturing these people. Okay?
Yeah, they were.
So
The last thing they wanted.
And on that note, but remember that your connection with your divine isn't connected. It really isn't connected to the church.
Right.
The church is an institution that's designed for what it's designed for.
Exactly.
But your connection, who you are connected with, your God, whom you believe in and love and honor, or you could be someone who has none. And they walk around just as much as there's 4 out of 100 who have no conscience.
Yeah.
So, we're all so very different, but we're all here together. And it is the holiday season, and it's the season to, we're all in the same season of the holiday.
Yeah.
Just how it's defined is defined a little differently with the different cultures. So I love you, and we'll see you in the next show. I hope this camera works out, and
I hope so.
if it doesn't, we have this one here.
Yep.
And take care, and I'll see you in the next show. In the meantime, this was Chakra 7, and we're with Nutmeg TV, and always appreciating our supporters and our followers. Remember to watch Nutmeg TV.
And
We're going through a lot, but we're hoping that we can move through. I'd love to have us have some kind of a fundraising thing, like for public TV, so we don't lose our public TV station. Why don't we have like a big fundraising? People who, you get a cup. Come for a cup. Anyway, thanks for being here, Joan, and appreciate it. Hope our mic came out good.
I hope so, yeah. And again, we appreciate you. We thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Happy Sinter, Klaas, Rudolph, and Mr. Nutcracker's coming soon, so we'll see you. And we'll be like
happy holidays.
It's
whatever
Sukkot right now, so right, we're in the starting of it. All right, blessings. See ya. Bye.
The Saybrook Fish House in Canton has been serving fresh seafood, chicken, and steak entrees for 34 years, offering 3 cozy dining room settings, a newly renovated pub with craft beer, wine by the glass, specialty cocktails, and a lighter fare menu. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Reservations accepted for parties of 2 to 42, and gift certificates are also available. The Saybrook Fish House, nestled at the crossroads of Route 44, 202, and 179 in Canton.